go win the Heisman after these eyes saw him in the fall. But we'll talk about Garrett Nussmeier and the do's and don'ts here tonight. But if I'm going to be claimed on it, there are some things that he can and cannot do. We'll go around your SEC, and then we'll wrap it up with hashtag Ask Blake. We'll talk about players at interviews today. Hero Perkins, Will Campbell makes me want to kick through a wall, run through a wall at what he said today. In case you missed it, we'll break that down. But you can't tell me that Will Campbell isn't locked, loaded, and focused and ready to win football games. And when you have a team leader like him, when these guys go to Vegas, I feel very confident that a guy like Will Campbell is not going to let them go out and do dumb things. Hopefully he doesn't. They're there to win a football game. Let's hope that they can. We'll start off tonight, though, with the Rufino's rants. And I hate to do this because I don't want to play spoiler. But it's something that I think that you and I need to talk about when it comes to college athletics. I think it's a must that we have to discuss. In case you missed it, unless you've been under a rock or unless you've been in a coma for the last 10 months, there was a big thing that developed through last season. That was that Connor Stalions, an off-field analyst, well, technically on field, I guess, but they called him an off-field analyst, who was over sign stealing at the University of Michigan. It was reported that the NCAA was investigating him being on the sidelines at a Michigan State game with Central Michigan, and that he was sending people to other games around the country and getting them to video the other coaches and their signals so that he could steal them and use them for Michigan. Well, Netflix did a documentary on him today, and it was released. And I think this is very significant. So, Stalions so spoiler alert, just letting you know, come back in like 5 minutes if you don't want this to be spoiled. Guys, you have Connor Stalions walking out there today on a Netflix special admitting that they cheated. Admitting that Michigan cheated. And let me tell you something, too. I am so sick and tired of people in the media defending the University of Michigan. How can you look at what the documentary put forth today with Connor Stalions, and the NCAA investigates if he is sending multiple people to different games to steal signs of opponents that Michigan will play in their future, and then him on a documentary admitting that people at those games were sending him video of the signs from Ohio State, from Michigan State, etc. Now, what some of you are going to say is, well, Blake, sign stealing is legal. Yes, in game it is legal. But everybody goes amongst the premise and in the same rule that you can't do advanced scouting when it comes to being in person. You know what you definitely can't do either? You cannot be on the sidelines of another opponent that you will play later in the season and give Central Michigan, who, by the way, just throwing this out there, Jim McElwain was actually on the Michigan staff with Connor Stalions before he got to Central Michigan. Just throwing that out there. Maybe Jim McElwain needs to be investigated. But you cannot look at this situation and tell me that they didn't break the rules, especially coming from you LSU fans. Let me tell you why. Do you remember a guy named Will Wade? Do you remember a guy named Ed Orgeron, Les Miles, etc.? You and I talked so much about the Gloria Scott, Sharon Lewis cases. Me coming out here telling you that I think that all of this was bogus, and that all of it was bogus based off of Sharon Lewis telling Gloria Scott, who had a situation with Darius Geis, when Gloria Scott calls Verge Alsbury and says, Miss Gloria wants her money, and try to extort LSU. You got level 1 violations over stuff like that. You had a football postseason ban. Didn't matter that Ed Orgeron went 5-5 during COVID. Doesn't matter to me. They still accepted a postseason ban that they would have still given LSU. Will Wade, who paid players, let's call it what it is, needs to be smarter and not do it from his own bank account. And literally, when the sentence came down on Will Wade, NIL was already a thing. You know, it's interesting. I was telling a colleague of mine today that when we were all discussing about the Will Wade thing, AYS Sports had multiple NIL deals that were enacted and active. In the very beginning of this, when Will Wade got fired, we had active NIL deals. It's funny because I talked to my attorney about 3 weeks ago about this same exact thing. How crazy is that? But LSU, Tennessee, Kansas even did get a level 1 violation, and they got hit worse than what people in the media and what most people want Michigan to get hit with. Me as an LSU fan, me as an LSU guy who covers in the media, and a guy that covers the sport of college football nationally, you got to do something. Jim Harbaugh, he knew. He's literally, from video evidence, going up to Connor Stallions during games, asking him questions. Head coaches don't go to off-field analysts asking them about the football game unless something is going on. Sign stealing is not an issue. It never was an issue here. There's still a case out that he allegedly broke into Ohio State servers and stole their signs. Let me say this too. What if you were an Ohio State fan? And 2 years ago, when Ohio State played Georgia in the college football playoff semifinal, and you're a field goal away from beating the Georgia Bulldogs or tying the game and going into overtime, because you do realize that if they would have won the Big 12, they wouldn't have seen Georgia until the national title game. And there's always a situation where Ohio State could have won that game, guys. They were a field goal away from doing it. Meanwhile, Georgia plays teams like TCU and absolutely claps their ever-living cheeks. I know a lot of you don't like the NCAA, but we need to make something very clear. You can hate them all you want to, but until conferences or somebody comes up with some form of law and order, college athletics are going to be shunned. Things are going to continue to be the wild, wild west until somebody decides that they're going to put their foot down and stop the bullshit. Again, in case you're just joining, Connor Stallions coming in here today on a Netflix documentary admitting guilt. Meanwhile, LSU, during the Ed Orgeron era, got hit with James Craig, who had a recruit that came to his house unwillingly, to James Craig's knowledge, and he took him to the football stadium. Meanwhile, you have on-field issues that are happening, and people are like, the NCAA sucks. No, what the NCAA did when they gave Michigan the notice of allegations last week was they were getting ahead of this Netflix documentary so that they could be ahead of everything that was going on. And you know what? Good on them. Good on them. I really do think Charlie Baker has done some good things. Doesn't make them perfect, doesn't make them right. They're trying to also now, in case you missed this too, they're trying to enact one portal period. So instead of a December portal period and a spring portal period, they want to do one time that you can enter the portal, that being the spring. And I tell you what, man, a lot of you will agree with that. But I think it's so interesting that so many other people want to have these discussions and conversations about when the portal should be enacted and when players should be able to get it. Meanwhile, you got a team that wins a national championship on the field and multiple Big Ten championship games on the field. Guys, they cheated. Now, you're going to have a very hard time explaining to me that Jim Harbaugh still didn't have signs. Still didn't have some call sheets on what he was doing during that national championship run last year. I bet you if you gave Nick Saban some truth serum and asked him what he really thought, he'd probably tell you the truth. Last thing before we get to LSU here. Want to talk about this spring portal period. Coaches hate it. I talked to multiple coaches inside the SEC today, on-field coaches that are known recruiters. And the conversations, which each one of them lasted at least 15 to 30 minutes. I asked them about the potential of there being a spring portal period, only one period. None of the coaches that I talked to today said that they wanted that to happen. They would rather it happen during in season. Why? Because during the spring, during spring football, not a lot going on. They can go on vacation. They don't have to worry about the portal. The thing is, though, I asked all of them today, what's the best for the sport? And they said the spring football portal window, which I agree. Guys, I think we're getting to a place where things are going in the right direction. If you're going to have the portal, put it in spring. But my God, I must say, the things that we in the media decide to clap over and argue over versus what actually happens on the field when it comes to cheating blows my godforsaken mind. Blows my mind. But hey, what do I know? Let me end it with this. I promise I'm going to end it with this. Some of you have told me that the sign stealing meant nothing. Explain play action to me if you're a DB. If you're a safety, explain play action. Because if a safety knows that it's play action and they don't have to come up and defend the run, they're not going to do it, and it makes passing lanes and coverage that much tougher to complete passes on if you know it's going to be a pass. You know who admitted that today? Connor Stallions. When I knew it was a pass, I would point up to the air for a pass, and everybody on the Michigan sideline would do the same thing defensively. It's bonkers, man. Absolutely bonkers. All right, let's get to it. Jared Addison says, I missed your notification with a $1.99 super chat. Yeah, a lot of people said that they missed it last night too. We're going to be live here at 7. Turn on all notifications for each platform. That's all I can tell you. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of it. We're always on there. He said, Jared also says, I ain't even mad at Michigan beating them, cheating or not. I'm pretty pissed off, if you want to know the truth, Jared. I'm pretty pissed off. Because if I'm just being real with you, explain that to Ohio State. You would be so pissed off if you were an Ohio State fan right now. And let me tell you another thing why I'm pissed off about this situation. We had Matt McMahon that had nothing when he got here. Will Wade was guilty as sin. You can't ignore that anymore. Guys, he was guilty. Oh, well. But the bottom line is you have on-the-field actions that are happening. Meanwhile, I find what Michigan did to be more atrocious than what Will Wade did. Sorry. It really affected everybody else. All right, let's get to it. Chris Campbell says, watching in the 662 Tupelo, Mississippi. You know, there's a lot of really good fishing out there in Tupelo. Will Campbell interview was good, says Cat1 on YouTube. I like his mindset. We're going to talk about that tonight. We 1,000% are going to talk about that tonight. Yeah, where are y'all watching from? Where are y'all watching from? Blake Morgan says, I stopped going to the basketball games after they let Will go. Well, I hope that you all will support Mac McMahon. He's trying, man. He's giving everything he's got. I'm telling you. I had a conversation with somebody on their staff yesterday. Was yesterday Monday? Yeah, yesterday. They're doing everything they can. They need all the support that they can get. Big J. Cole says the 318. The 3-1 great. Good to have you in here. Henry Edwards says the 601 Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Stand up. What's that place out there in Hattiesburg? I was talking to the Woodland family, PJ Woodland's parents. That barbecue place. So good, man. So good. Stephen Fry, good friends over at Fry Construction. Go see them at Eunice, Louisiana. Dirt work, land and haul services, they do it all, man. I'm telling you, there's not anything the Fry Construction doesn't do. Give them a call. They're out there in Eunice. Let them know Blake sent you on by. But Stefan says, everybody knows we're going there for one reason only, says Will Campbell. He's quoting this for people listening on the audio podcast. We aren't going to Caesar's Palace. We're going to whatever the name of the stadium is to play football. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I would run through a brick wall for that man right now. I'm serious. When you have a leader like that, it is what it is. We're actually going to talk about him after the break. One thing he said ties into what we were going to talk about here tonight as well. Looking forward to that. Tyler Townsend says, let's go. The 318 is in the building. Good to have you here, sir. By the way, Tyler Townsend, a lot of people in the media were asking where you got that hat from that you made for AYS. People are noticing, man. I wear it around everywhere. Goat on YouTube says, let's go, man, from the 806, which is in the building. Good to have you with us here, too. The 985 representing, says Trey. Thibodaux, Louisiana, stand up. Carlton is in the 337. Erath in the building as well. And Terrence is in the 817. Black Ice, big pressure in the building, says behind enemy lines. He's in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We're actually going to talk about them tonight when we go around your SEC. Let's get to it, man. Got lots of stuff to talk about when it comes to LSU. Let's do that next. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those groups. If you're on Facebook, to all of those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Do us a favor by rating, reviewing, and subscribing. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag. Our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, and our good friends over at JJ Exterminating. We're back next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. All right. Let's get to it, man. We got no time to waste. Tons and tons and tons of things to talk about here tonight. Let's get to some do's and don'ts. Listen, it has not been missed upon me. Now, I understand that mainly this has come from one person, and it's a bot troll account, and he's always in every LSU media's DMs, in the comments. I think the guy's name is Black Dog, but he's not the only one. And I want to start off tonight talking about LSU in reference to Garrett Nussmeier. You think that I have been harsh. Some of you think that I have been very harsh on Garrett Nussmeier. I have not been harsh on Garrett at all. Now, what you're referring to is that in 2022, I told you that I thought that Jaden Daniels should be the starter, will be the starter, and he will lead you to wins that maybe that you shouldn't have, mainly due to his feet. Well, that happened. And then when he came back in 23, we had a discussion about him potentially win the Heisman. He did. Was the best quarterback in the country last season without question, best player in the country last year without question. And it's not only the last 2 years. Man, we've been doing this show for quite some time. What you and I have discussed in reference to quarterback play has been the thing that I have, humble brag, have hit on the most about what to expect from a quarterback. Now, there are always things that you have to talk about when it comes to the quarterback position. There are so many different layers to what Garrett Nussmeier is going to face in his first season as a starter. Now, I think over the last 3 years that Garrett has massively, and I mean massively, progressed from 22 until now. There are still things that he's got to clean up. And the one thing, so this segment is going to be things that you have to do to beat USC and then things you don't or you cannot do. The do's and don'ts, what Garrett or this team cannot do against USC if they want to win this football game. Number one is very simple to me. Garrett has had moments and times in his career, whether it be college or high school, that he will become turnover prone. That cannot happen. It cannot happen when you have a defense in USC that struggled a lot like yours did a year ago. Now, do I think that he has become much better at his decision-making, getting the ball out quickly, taking some checkdowns when things are not there? Yes. Do I also think that there are situations like in the bowl game when he scrambles left, makes an ill-advised throw, and it gets picked off, which we also saw translated in camp? Yes, I do. And when you play games like this, think what you want to about USC. But when you play games like this in week one, turnovers will kill you. They will utterly kill you. Now, I do think that the game plan, as Will Campbell said, which we'll talk about in just a moment, but the first thing that you just cannot do, if you're Garrett, you got to take the sack instead of forcing balls into very bad coverage. Take the hit, get down, don't get injured, live to play another day. Turnovers will be very crucial in this season because I think the style of football that you're going to play behind the offensive line that we think that can dominate, you got to give your team the ability to respond. It's not saying that Garrett's not going to be, mistake-free. I think he will make some mistakes. But there just has to be a massive emphasis in the beginning of the season and when you get all the way up to Ole Miss. You just can't turn the ball over in crucial situations. Doesn't mean you don't force the ball down the field. That's not something that Garrett shies away from. But when I look at Garrett Nussmeier, I see a guy that can make every single throw that you put out there. I think guys, from a traits perspective, he is one of footwork, arm strength, accuracy, is one of the better quarterbacks in this conference. I don't necessarily think that part of his game is debatable. What I think that he lacks in, and he has to get better at, is decision-making. Now, if you think that is me legitimately thinking or hating on him, it is not. You think that I have compared him to other quarterbacks. I really don't know how you can make that determination when I just say, look, we have seen him, and I have seen him with my own eyes. Now, you don't have to believe me. You can believe or say or go to whatever show that you want to. That's perfectly fine with me. But when we get in the season and you're coming back to a post game and you're like, God damn it, that man Blake was right. I don't know what to tell you. He's got to limit the turnovers if you want to get where you want to go. Something that he's vastly worked in and something that I think he will accomplish. Last night after I was utterly accused of saying that I hated Garrett Nussmeier, I went back and watched the Georgia game. It's like, man, was I too critical on the 2 turnovers he had? No, I wasn't. Throwing a fade route to a guy in Kayshon Boutte who, quite honestly, guys, Kayshon Boutte's last year at LSU, he didn't give a shit. There, I said it. Throwing it up to a guy who couldn't give 2 shits about what happened, and you can't throw that ball into double coverage. I mean, you have pressure coming in your face. You got to protect the football and the fumble. It's a blowout. Doesn't matter. I get it. But when you go into a season, guys, Jaden Daniels' best trait. Here was why Jaden always got the edge over Nuss. Always. Don't believe me? Just ask Brian Kelly, because it's exactly his words and what he said. The best ability that Jaden Daniels had was not his arm, was not his accuracy, was not his legs. It was not turning the football over in critical situations and getting down and making sure that you live for another play. I cannot tell you how critical that will ultimately be. The biggest don't in this, don't give Lincoln Riley more possessions than he needs. The big dues. So Will Campbell talked about this today too, to some extent, not greatly. But D'Anton Lynn, the new DC at USC, is going to get after Garrett Nussmeier. He's going to come after him and he's going to test him. Guys, it's not a question. Like, I'm not thinking that is something that's possible, that's going to happen. It's like almost of a certainty that they are going to do that. They are going to do that. Garrett and Joe and BK and Cortez in the beginning of the game has to loosen up this defense. They have to take the pressure off of Garrett Nussmeier early in the game, because they want to establish that defensively that they fix things as well. Guys, we can't talk about this any more than we already have. The way that UCLA played a year ago under D'Anton Lynn is very Baltimore Ravenish. What do I mean by that? If you ever watch the Baltimore Ravens play under John Harbaugh and what they do defensively, it's all of the same to some extent. They're going to put a lot of guys on the line of scrimmage, and they're going to try to confuse the ever-living manure out of you, and they're going to send pressure all day long and play man-to-man coverage. Your receivers on short routes have to win. Where I think that it's a plus for you is you have 2 big body wide receivers in CJ Daniels and Kyron Lacy. You got to be big. CJ Daniels, you transferred to LSU, buddy, here you go. It's your time to shine. Because when you come to a place like this, on these critical 3rd and 5s like you've been doing all camp, you got to come down with the catch. Nothing else matters. Slants, hitches, bubble screens, tight end delays, bootlegs, all of those things need to happen to help you to limit that pressure early. Guys, if Garrett Nussmeier starts off the game 7 of 10 passing and he's got 65 yards, I will be ecstatic, because if you're going to methodically move the ball down the field, he is going to back some things off. And then that's when you can start getting the running game going. The number one thing you have to do, get the ball out quickly if you're Garrett Nussmeier and Joe Sloan. Let's go to another thing that you have to do, because it goes into what we were talking about. So the second thing that you must do in this game, I think that you need to play a little bit of keep away, if I'm being honest. Let me explain as to the reason why I've continuously said this about USC. Guys, in 2022 at USC, Lincoln Riley was 116th in the country in time of possession. Last year, they were 117th in the country in time of possession. They want to go quick, and they want to score the football quick. Keep the ball away from them. Limit their chances to score. The reason that is a big deal, and if you can establish the line of scrimmage and run it down their throat, the reason that I want to keep the ball away from them is because if you do have defensive lapses in this game, which I think that you will, like I fully believe that you're going to have some defensive lapses in this game, and Miller Maltz and this offense is going to get some things on you. It gives that defense and Blake Baker on the sidelines, and I probably going to get in trouble for saying this. I would assume that Blake Baker is going to be coaching from the sidelines. Guys having iPads, teaching and going through what they're actually doing and showing when you get to game time. Guys, keeping the ball away from a team has worked for the last 4 national champions. Guys, it has. The only one that would go up tempo on you in the last 5 years was our team, LSU. Bama would run the football down your throat with a really good offensive line and that running game with Najee Harris and hit you with some play actions with Mac Jones and the Heisman Trophy winner Devonta Smith over the top. The 2 years after that, what did Georgia do? What did Georgia do in their 29-1 run over the last 30 games? They're going to run the football right at you. Hey, you know what? We're going to give our defense a breather, and we're going to run the football right at you. And you know what? There's not a damn thing that you can do to stop it. Michigan did the same exact thing. Guys, they won a whole football game against Penn State, running the football 47 straight times against Penn State. I'm not saying that football and the style of football is changing, but teams that can and have the ability with a big-time offensive line to line it up and just punch somebody in the freaking mouth wins you ball games more than it loses it to you. Guys, if you get 5 yards of pop per run, you're going to do great things offensively. So number 2, keep it away from them. They want to go fast. They don't want to hang on to the football. They want to go bang, bang, bang down the field. Give your defense a rest. Run the ball right at them. Let them react to that. The second thing that you cannot do, the second don't, defensively, you can't get caught with your eyes in the backfield. We talked about this last night with Carter, and I think it's the biggest thing about on this defense that's going to be the biggest challenge. Guys, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you go with all the motions and misdirection that Lincoln Riley is going to throw on you on Sunday night, you will get beat. You will get beat. Or your defense will get beat, and you'll come in here and we'll talk about, hey, man, is this defense any better? Lincoln is going to do a lot of things in the RPO game that's going to confuse your linebackers. I'm going to tell you what they're going to do because it's exactly what I would do. They're going to go right at number 7. Hey, last year moving inside didn't really work for you? Okay. Well, you know what? We're going to come out early and test and see on these RPOs if you're ready to go. I think if you're Blake Baker, if you're Brian Kelly, if I'm just going to throw this out there to some extent, people are in the building are going to know what I mean by this. Some of you will not. Bob Diaco, you're going to have to come up with certain situations to get Harold to show one thing and back out and get him into coverage. Guys, early in this game, I would disguise Perk and not send him on certain situations and let him go out in coverage. Let me tell you why. I think that they will attack him with RPO slants, and if he shows blitz and backs out, there's a chance he can bat a ball up in the air or get a pick. Lincoln is going to disguise so many things, and I think he is going to attack Harold. Here's another thing, too. I think he'll attack Greg Penn. Carter Bryant last night was spot on in exactly what he said about Lincoln's the best thing that Lincoln Riley does is he attacks the second level. He's going to do it again on Sunday. You're going to have to rotate. I think that there's going to be a heavy rotation of Whit Weeks and Greg Penn. And with that, I think that's why Perk Dog got the calm in his helmet, because he's going to be on the field at every given moment. How you defend and show and be disciplined in this RPO counter run game is going to be if you know that your defense is going to have a good game or not. I don't care what you do on the first drive. First drives, they are what they are. You saw what Florida State did to Georgia Tech last weekend. They came out first series of the game. They marched it down the field, and then they were kicking ass and taking names. When you have offensive linemen that are disguising and running the football, and your read as a linebacker is to fill gaps, go tackle the ball carrier, but they have a slant behind it. It's the toughest thing that you have to do as a linebacker, and I think that Perkins and Penn and Whit Weeks' discipline is going to have to be paramount in this game. The final don't, the thing that you cannot do. Sometimes I think what coordinators do, and I think that Denbrock, the only thing that I would knock on Denbrock from the last couple of years, coordinators sometimes can get a little pass happy. I think we use Florida State as an example. What did they do in that opening drive? They ran the football and they gave it one look reads on boots, waggles, things like that for DJU to complete. They got away from it. They would be so predictable. They would get the ball. They would get down 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, and they would run the football and get stuffed. Well, when you can't mix things up and you're not mixing things up, defenses are going to know what you're doing. It's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is, guys, even if early in the game you're getting 4 yards a carry, I'm going to love it. Run right at their ass. Get Josh Williams. Get John Emery. Get Caden Durham. And get the bull amongst bulls, Caleb Jackson, in the backfield and hand him the rock and get the fuck out the way. That is how you're going to win this game. I don't think that they're better than you in the interior of that offensive line versus their interior of their defensive line. Run the ball right up their keister. That is the widest word I can use on this show. But if you're going to win this football game, you're going to have to line up and man up and punch them right in their stuff. They're not more physical than you. Sorry, they're not. USC fans were in this show last night. Good on them. I welcome them being in here because y'all can have discussions inside the comments. They're going to say that I'm a homer. You have not seen this offensive line perform. And Will Campbell came out today and speaking on this and not getting away from the run. What did Will say? Will Campbell came out and said, what are we, guys, I'm just going to let you know, and I'm paraphrasing on what he said. You can take this however you want to take it. We're going to run that football. Good. That in and of itself, that part of itself, that little nugget, that little thing that we've seen from this offense makes me more confident about them as a team. You can call me old school. You can call me whatever you want. Oh, Blake loves the Les Miles type era. Call it whatever you want. Again, the only thing that I know is that the last 4 national champions would line up offensively and run it right at dudes and say, bring that ass here, boy. Megapauls. No diddy. Don't get away from the running game. Even if you got to punt it away, even if there's a lapse in something. Now, the challenges that D'Anton Lynn is going to possess in the packages that he sends, I will remind you, D'Anton Lynn at UCLA had the #1 rush defense in the country. They had a lot of really good players at UCLA, but they would send so much pressure that things would get stuffed. Guys, not everything has to be pretty. If you're getting 3 and 4 and 5 yards a carry, to me, as an O lineman, run that rock. You can't get away from it. Speaking of Will Campbell, I want to say this about him very quickly. Will Campbell was in an interview today with the media, and here's some of the key takeaways that I got from Will. We're only there, meaning Vegas. We're only going to Vegas. We ain't going to Caesar's Palace. We're there to play football. And when he talks about running the rock, being locked in and focused, him being more vocal than he is, guys, we're here to win national championships. 10 games get you fired. That's his words, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I think culture has gotten better. We talk about Brian Kelly, and look, a lot of times when we talk about BK, it's things and shit that he's not doing right. We don't talk about the things that he is doing right. This young man is echoing everything that Brian Kelly wants him to echo throughout the locker room. But I love the quote when he says, we're going to Vegas to get in a fight, get in a fist fight with them. Let's go whip their ass. I think Will Campbell today in his press conference, when he said, we're going there to get in a fist fight, he doesn't mean that. You know what he means. But what he's trying to say is, listen, we feel what you're saying. He is embodying everything that you as a fan are trying to say. We want you to go out there and whip their ass. It's time you go out there and whip their ass. I'm tired of these game one scenarios where you come out pussyfooting around, and you get your asses kicked. Stupid miscues. I can forgive Brian Kelly in 2022. It's the first game that he had at LSU. What is he going to do? I mean, it was what it was, man. It was what it was. I thought his teams, he won the West in 22. I can't fault him for that. Cannot fault him for it. You're in year 3 now, and you're going up against a team that does not have better personnel than you do. Now, I will continue to say this too. Don't sleep on what USC has on that D-line, though, man. They got some playmakers. So it's not going to be easy. If, remember this, that your boy said this on a Tuesday, on August the 27th, the year of our Lord in 2024. If you go out there and you push around this USC defensive line with DeAnton Lynn, you've had a big accomplishment. You can't, guys, they got 4 SEC caliber defensive linemen. Anthony Lucas is that. Bear Alexander is that. Nate Shepard literally is that. Guys, he was one of the more productive guys at Vanderbilt in the interior of the defensive line. Guys, he was better along the defensive line than Mason Smith. And Jalil Muhammad, they got talent up there. Where they lack is the depth. And if they got to rotate for whatever reason, that's when you start clapping them cheeks, OnlyFans style. All right, last thing. Speaking of offensive line play, here's a nugget, or here is something that I have really focused in on. Have thought about this for the last couple of months. I'm so glad that tonight we get to talk about it. You know, a big concern for LSU fans when we talk about defense, and this is the last thing that you must do. When we talk about this defense, one thing that everybody wants to see is a better pass rush, blitzes, schematical things that get guys open to get the quarterback down. Miller Moss is athletic, but he's not that athletic. USC offensively was 98th in the country in sacks allowed. 98th. I do think that their offensive line is better than what some are giving them credit for. Like, a lot of people have called them soft. I actually wouldn't call them soft. I'd call them above average. They gave up 98 sacks. And the thing that's interesting to me here, or they were 98th last year in sacks allowed. What's interesting is How much does Miller Moss negate that more than Caleb Williams? Caleb was an improviser. Excuse me. Caleb Williams did not play inside the system like he should have. Miller Moss will. What I think that they're going to do with Miller Moss at quarterback versus what they did with Caleb Williams, who was an improviser, is I think it takes pressure off of the offensive line when they get the ball out quickly the way that they want to. You know, if things weren't perfect for Caleb last year, he would bail. He would bail. Go watch the Notre Dame game from last year. I beg of you. Caleb Williams was as ass as a Kim Kardashian hype video. I mean, ass was jiggling everywhere. The man looked bad. And by the way, he had painted fingernails, made him look even worse. Brian Kelly in the fall camp portion of the last 3 weeks was asked about his edge pressure and how much better it had gotten. And before the question was over, he was already answering it. Kevin Peoples. Well, Kevin Peoples, we need you. And I'm going to be a little real with you. If you can't generate a pass rush and that's what you want to go in here and do against a team that was horrendous at defending and protecting their Heisman Trophy winning quarterback a year ago, we have problems. Let Deshaun Womack, let Savion Jones, let Braden Swinson, let these guys loose. Also to that, I think Blake Baker's going to go in this game and confuse the shit out of them because they don't know what they're seeing either. You know, a lot of talk has been, well, what is DeAnton Lynn going to show you? What the fuck is Blake Baker going to show USC? Now, Lincoln Riley's a great play caller, but if you get into a 3rd and 7 type situation, I don't want to play that. Let Miller Moss make the completion. Make him make the right decision, which he can. And look, you are risking something, but you got to get after the passer, man. You can't pussyfoot no more. Pussyfooting around on defense last 2 years got you beat, got you dicked down. And quite honestly, I'm tired of it. But Brian Kelly knows exactly what he needed to do, and he goes gets Blake Baker, who's not going to be pussyfooting around. So those are my do's and don'ts. 3 on each side. So get the ball out quick, play some keep away with USC. Baker will send heat. They were 98th in passing or sacks allowed last year. Excuse me. Some don'ts. Garrett cannot have turnovers. If Garrett limits his turnovers, if he has a turnover, you're going to win the football game. Don't get caught slipping. Don't be undisciplined. And don't get away from running that rock. Look, man. Pound they ass. Pound they ass. All right. Devin Johnson sends a $1.99 super chat and says, any info on how the new speakers sound? Man, I have no idea. Listen, man, I'm not your guy for that. Yeah, I'm not your guy for that. I appreciate Devin so much, the super chat. The LED light things, like, man, it's okay with me. Like, cool, I think it's cool. For me, I'm going to a football game to watch football. Now, I know it's cool for recruits and new generation and all that, speakers, all that. I get all that. I'm just not your guy in that situation, man, because it really doesn't bother me. Jay Dillard with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Jay. If you have a comment, you can bring it in here. All right. I see some comments flowing in here. David says, tackle your ass out off, no missed tackles. I think you'll have some missed tackles, but just not as bad as you had a year ago. Jay, who sent in the $4 super chat or $5 super chat, thank you so much, says Sunday can't get here enough or quick enough, baby. Just like the last few years, this game will determine the season. We'll know how we look for real if the defense has some nuts this season, we may be sneaky in December. I agree with you there, Jay. I think it's a great point, guys. I'll just be real with you. It's a must-win game. I don't give two Rudy Poos that it's week 1. I don't care. You got to win the football game, because when you win this game and you win the couple of more and you get momentum, guys, there's no telling what you can do on October the 12th. Doesn't mean that South Carolina is not South Carolina in and of themselves. I mean, they're not you can't go to Columbia and pussyfoot around either. But, man, you haven't been bad in these 11 a.m. road games under Brian Kelly. You actually been, if I'm not mistaken, you've only lost one 11 a.m. game, if I'm not mistaken, right? BK's like 5-1 in 11 a.m. football games. And I think they're undefeated in road away games at 11 a.m. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but they've been pretty good in those situations. Cole Adams says, my dues are the back end of the defense has to open field tackle. Paragraph. Yeah, I mean, look, they have to, but these are look, man, open field tackling is got to be better. It's got to be better. We'll talk about that a lot on Thursday, I promise. Oh, shit, I promise. I got the notes in the handy-dandy notebook here. We'll have to be. All right, let's do this. We'll come back and go around your SEC. Let me pay some bills around this thing. You know, this place isn't free. And every time y'all send Super Chats, man, it's very good. What's that, guys? We got a text? Okay. Yeah, those are just the so somebody sent a text into the show and said, Blake, what's the thing hanging down from the thing here? If I think of what you're talking about is this thing, that's just the media things for like going to fall camp and stuff like that. Like this year, and then there's like 4 more LSU ones, and then there's just the general Southeastern one. So yeah. All right, let me take a quick break. We go around your SEC next. Stay with us. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirement. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
James, right out of the gate, before we get around your SEC and hashtag Ask Blake, says, love your show, Go Tigers, with a $9.99 super chat. Man, means so much, man. I tell y'all this so much. It really, 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 really does. I greatly appreciate it, James. It goes a long way. We have come a long way in the studio. We've come a long way and just as a program. And we're coming up on 9 more episodes until 1,000. It's been a great ride. I could not have done it without all of you guys. Brandon Reese says, hashtag Ask Blake, if we win the coin toss, defer. Defer. Just go out there and know what you need to do. Defer. Put the pressure on them, man. You know, you lost the toss, if I'm not mistaken, last year to start it off, and you had the football. I didn't like it. I don't like those vibes. Defer the ball. Blake the Great says, Will Campbell makes me feel like these boys are about to blow out USC. I'm not going to go that far, man. I know that he's locked in. I hope that his entire teammates are locked in. Before we get out of here, let's go around your SEC because these are some teams that we're going to play. What are their concerns in fall camp and their week before, or what are they going through before in week one? Let's go over to Athens with the Georgia Bulldogs. Man, they continue to say that they feel like their interior of their defensive line is not ready to accomplish what it is that they want to accomplish. I ain't buying that. Talked to a couple of people around Georgia today, just media guys, and a lot of them said that, you know, that's the concern coming out of Georgia is that we don't have the talent and the quality of depth that we've had in the interior defensive line. We got hurt. Our backup running backs hurt. And I get all that. And you got a really interesting challenge week one against Clemson. Y'all can make fun of Dabo all you want. That defensive line Dabo got will knock your ass out. Clemson defensively, all right. And look, next year, we go to Clemson week one in a home and home. At D-line, by the way, and you're gonna be breaking in a brand new offensive line. Urgh. I don't like that at all. I promise you. I call bullshit on what Kirby's trying to sell to the media. They're gonna be good defensively. Let's go over to Bama, down to Tuscaloosa. Hey, Chiguchi. The Bama Crimson Tide, they believe, and the talk around town is that Jalen Milroe has progressed very good at throwing the ball and getting it to the playmakers in space. Need to see that happening. I think he's a dynamic athlete. It's going to be very interesting to see what Kalen DeBoer does with an athlete like that. Quarterback, you know, Michael Penix was not bad in the first year that DeBoer had him when they ran the football. They were actually really good when they went, I think, either 9-3, 10-2, but they were still pretty good at Washington in their first year. Thing coming out of Bama right now has been their secondary has been Rudy Poo. Going to be interesting, man. They got a lot to replace in that secondary. And I think they're worried about their secondary mainly due to the fact that Jalen Milroe is completing passes on them. So, yeah. Tennessee. Let's go up to Knoxville. Tennessee Volunteers believe that they have one of the best front sevens in the country, and I'm not going to argue with them at the current moment because that front seven that they have is nasty. And they announced that Lance Hurd's going to be their starting left tackle. I think that they got 3 offensive linemen that can really play. Nico Iamaleava is a quarterback that was probably and arguably the best player coming out a couple of years ago, and he committed to Tennessee. We know how that went. Let's see how they progress. But they really believe that they have an offense that can very much resemble what they did in 2022. Let's go down to Gainesville, the Florida Gators. They have a big matchup this weekend versus Miami. I personally picked Miami to win the ACC. I think Florida's going to lose here. But the talk that I've heard around from some Florida people is that Graham Mertz, who had 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions last year, has been throwing the football down the field, and he's been very accurate in doing it. Guys, there's something to be said about a starting quarterback year 2 in a system. Something to be said. I just don't know how I feel about Florida. I think Miami's going to win there. Couple more. Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners, man, they are so worried about their offensive line. Brent Venables was asked yesterday about their offensive line, and he called them a work in progress. You can't have work in progress offensive lines in this league, man. You can't. You're going to get beat if you do that. Last but not least, the Ole Miss Rebels. They've been awfully quiet outside of Lane Kiffin talking about Coca-Cola. They're going to be good, man. They're going to be good. So we'll see. Brandon Ray says, ask Blake, besides LSU, which other SEC game are you looking forward to seeing this weekend? There's a lot, man. I think A&M and probably three. I think A&M and Notre Dame's highly interesting. How in the world Notre Dame is not a favorite in that game blows my mind. How Notre Dame's not the favorite blows my mind. You got Clemson, Georgia. I still think that's going to be a better game than people are making it out to be. And then you have Florida, man. Florida on against what some people believe the ACC champion. Missouri plays on Thursday too. I'm interested to see how their offense looks. I really am. I really, really am. Paul Sub Martin says TJ Finley cooking Bama's defense would be a hilarious story. It would. Western Kentucky, stand up. The heel toppers, stand up. All right, man. It's been a great show. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good night, man. Peace out, Girl Scouts.